Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the dim glow of the bathroom, Jason's reflection appeared unfamiliar, questioning his own image. He held the blade steady, his hand unsteady. A single thought kept flashing through his mind. Tonight would be a night of transformation. A familiar voice called from the other side of the door, gently prodding.
Hey, everything okay in there?
He took a breath, then admitted,
I'm just adjusting to the idea.
His gaze fixed on the stranger in the mirror, someone he had never seen before, even after all these years. It wasn't the typical night for Jason, a lifelong label he'd embraced. His Saturdays were usually spent coding at work and shooting hoops during lunch break. She'd already transformed herself with a drawn-on mustache, her curves hidden beneath a boxy suit. You promised, Jay. Her lips curled into that irresistible smile that had won him over 8 years ago. Gender-swapped Halloween. The Millers turning tradition upside down. The electric razor hummed to life. The things I do for love. It'll be worth it. The Hendersons win the couple's costume contest every year. Their reign ends tonight. An hour later, Jason sat perched on a stool in their bedroom, eyes closed as Melanie worked her magic with makeup brushes that tickled his skin. Stop flinching! She commanded, wielding an eyeliner pencil with surgical precision.
It feels weird.
He protested, resisting the urge to scratch his freshly powdered nose.
Beauty is pain, darling.
She stepped back, analyzing her work. Now for the pièce de résistance. From a box on the dresser, she withdrew a blonde wig with flowing locks that cascaded well past the shoulders. The hair shimmered under the bedroom lights, looking surprisingly natural.
That's quite impressive,
he admitted, touching the silky strands. Where did you even find this? I have connections. She winked, carefully positioning it over his short brown hair. My theater friend from college works in costuming now. She said this is human hair, top quality. Standing behind him, she secured the wig and styled it until blonde tresses framed his face. The transformation was startling. His jawline, softened by foundation, appeared delicate beneath the feminine hairstyle. Time for the dress, Melanie announced, retrieving the emerald gown from their closet. The fabric shimmered like liquid jewel tones. Jason stood, suddenly self-conscious in just his boxer shorts. I'm going to look ridiculous. You're going to look stunning, she corrected, helping him step into the dress. The cool silk slid against his skin as she zipped up the back. The dress cinched at the waist, creating an illusion of curves where there were none, then flowed elegantly to the floor. Melanie had thought of everything. Silicone breast forms gave him a convincing bust line, and the dress's cut cleverly disguised his broader shoulders. Look, she whispered, turning him toward the full-length mirror. The stranger staring back caused his breath to catch. Emerald fabric complemented his fair skin, now flawless under expertly applied makeup. The blonde hair softened his features, falling in gentle waves past his shoulders. Melanie had worked magic with contouring, highlighting cheekbones he never knew he had. His eyes, enhanced with subtle shadow and mascara, appeared wider, more expressive.
I don't recognize myself,
he murmured, tilting his head. The reflection mimicked his movement, blonde locks shifting across shoulders that somehow looked narrower, more feminine. You need a name, Melanie decided, adjusting his wig slightly.
You can't be Jason tonight.
He considered this while watching his transformed reflection. Something about the person in the mirror resonated with him in unexpected ways.
Elise,
he said, surprising himself with how quickly the name came to mind.
I think... Elise.
Melanie's eyes lit up. It's perfect. Elegant, like you look right now. She handed him a pair of low heels. Practice walking around the bedroom before we leave. The party invitation said 8 o'clock, but it was nearly 9 by the time Jason, now Elise, stood hesitating at their front door.
Nobody will recognize me,
he worried, clutching a small purse Melanie had insisted completed the outfit. That's the entire point, she laughed, looking surprisingly handsome in her tailored suit, hair slicked back. Come on, Mrs. Miller. Your carriage awaits. The drive to the community Halloween party passed in a blur of nervous anticipation. Each stoplight became an opportunity for Jason to check his appearance in the visor mirror, amazed at how the blonde hair transformed his face. Stop fidgeting with the wig, Melanie warned.
You'll mess it up. It feels so strange, he admitted, dropping his hand. Everything does. The dress moves differently than pants. I'm aware of fabric constantly shifting around my legs.
Welcome to women's fashion, she smirked.
Functional pockets are but a distant dream.
The community center parking lot overflowed with cars. Costumed partygoers streamed toward the entrance. Superheroes mingled with monsters. Historical figures chatted with fantasy characters. Jason's heart pounded against the silicone forms on his chest. I can't do this. Melanie reached over, taking his hand. His nails were painted a subtle shade that matched the emerald dress. You look amazing. Nobody will know it's you unless we tell them.
That's what I'm afraid of, he mumbled.
5 minutes, she bargained. Give me 5 minutes inside. If you're still uncomfortable, we'll leave. The click of his heels against pavement marked each step toward the entrance. He concentrated on walking smoothly, keeping his shoulders back as Melanie had instructed. The dress swished pleasantly around his ankles. Music and laughter spilled from the decorated hall. Their friends Tom and Angela greeted them at the door. Tom dressed as a zombie while Angela sported a witch's costume. Mel? Angela exclaimed, recognizing Melanie despite her masculine attire. Her eyes widened as she turned to Jason. And this is Elise, Melanie introduced smoothly. My date for the evening. Tom squinted, then his jaw dropped.
Wait, Jason? Holy shit, man. I mean, woman? I wouldn't have recognized you in a million years.
The ice broken, they moved into the party. Each interaction followed a similar pattern. Confusion, recognition, amazement. What surprised Jason most was how quickly his self-consciousness evaporated. Nobody mocked him. Instead, the transformation earned admiration, even from the Hendersons, whose Pirates of the Caribbean costumes suddenly seemed uninspired by comparison. You need to teach me your contouring technique, Amanda Henderson told him earnestly, studying his makeup. Your cheekbones look incredible. An hour into the party, Jason found himself at ease in a way he hadn't anticipated. The emerald dress no longer felt foreign, but rather complementary, enhancing movements he'd never been conscious of before. When he laughed, he noticed his hand naturally coming to rest against his collarbone, a gesture he'd seen Melanie make countless times. The costume contest announcement drew everyone to the makeshift stage. Categories were announced one by one. Best movie character, scariest costume, most original. Finally, the MC reached couples costume. And the winners are Melanie and Elise Miller with their gender swap extravaganza. The spotlight found them, and applause filled the room. Melanie grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the stage. The emerald dress caught the light as they climbed the steps, transforming him into a glimmering vision. "Say something," Melanie whispered, accepting their trophy.
"Thank you,"
Jason said, startled by how he'd naturally pitched his voice higher.
"This was unexpectedly wonderful."
The rest of the evening passed in celebration. Jason danced in heels that no longer hurt, laughed without self-consciousness, and accepted compliments with growing confidence. When midnight approached and guests began departing, he felt an odd reluctance to leave. "Ready to go home and return to normal?" Melanie asked, car keys in hand. The question lingered between them. Was he ready? The blonde hair brushed against his shoulders as he considered his answer.
"Maybe. Not just yet," he admitted softly.
Back home, Jason stood before the bathroom mirror again, this time studying Elise's reflection. The makeup remained flawless, the blonde hair framing a face that somehow seemed right.
"Help me preserve the makeup?"
he asked Melanie, who appeared in the doorway. "I'd like to keep being Elise a little longer." Something shifted in Melanie's expression, understanding mixed with curiosity. "Of course." She stepped forward, gently showing him how to remove the emerald dress without disturbing the wig or makeup. That night, Jason slept in silk pajamas, borrowed from Melanie, blonde hair carefully arranged on the pillow. His dreams were vivid, filled with sensations of freedom he'd never experienced before. Morning arrived with reality's harsh light, but when Jason opened his eyes, he didn't immediately reach for the wig or rush to wash away Elise. Instead, he studied his reflection in the bedroom mirror, the blonde hair tousled from sleep. Melanie found him there, contemplative. "Good morning," she said carefully. "How are you feeling?"
"Like I discovered something about myself that was always there," he answered honestly.
"Is that weird?" She sat beside him on the bed. "No, it's brave." Her hand covered his. "Tell me what you're thinking." "I've never felt so comfortable in my own skin as I did last night. Being Elise felt right in ways I can't explain." "Then maybe Elise needs to visit more often than Halloween," Melanie suggested gently. The following weeks brought cautious exploration. Weekends became Elise time, the blonde wig emerging from its box, makeup skills improving with practice. Melanie proved an encouraging teacher, showing patience as Jason learned to apply eyeliner without poking his eye. The emerald dress wasn't enough for regular wear, so online shopping delivered packages of women's clothing in styles that flattered his frame. Feminine jeans that hugged newly shaved legs, blouses that draped elegantly over the breast forms, a burgundy sweater dress that became a favorite for its comfort and the way it complemented the blonde hair. November faded into December. Elise ventured beyond their home for the first time since Halloween, a dinner at a restaurant 2 towns over, where nobody knew Jason Miller. The evening passed without incident, just a couple enjoying a meal together. "You didn't touch your wine all night," Melanie observed on the drive home, the blonde wig catching streetlight highlights. "You always have wine with pasta." "I was afraid it would make me careless," Jason admitted, hands folded in the lap of the burgundy sweater dress. "I didn't want to drop the voice or move wrong."
"You didn't need to worry. You were perfectly natural."
The word stuck with him. Natural. Was this natural? It certainly felt that way when he was Elise. Christmas approached, bringing family obligations and the question they'd both been avoiding. Would Jason attend holiday gatherings, or would this part of himself remain secret?
My parents are flying in next week,
Melanie reminded him as he practiced walking in higher heels, blonde hair bouncing with each careful step across their living room. We need to decide what we're telling them. The heels stopped clicking against the hardwood floor.
What do you want to tell them?
I want you to be comfortable, she said. This is your journey. But it affects you, too. Melanie considered this, watching as he adjusted the blonde hair that had become as familiar as his own reflection.
I fell in love with who you are inside. That hasn't changed.
The decision was made. Jason would greet the in-laws, but they would explain about Elise. No secrets between family. The conversation proved easier than anticipated. Melanie's parents, progressive despite their conservative appearance, listened with open minds. Her father asked thoughtful questions. Her mother requested to meet Elise before they returned home. 2 days before Christmas, Elise emerged in a festive red dress, blonde hair styled in elegant waves. Melanie's mother helped adjust her necklace, offering makeup tips from decades of experience. You have lovely bone structure, she commented, studying Elise's face. The blonde really brings out your eyes. January brought new resolutions. Jason began researching beyond cross-dressing, reading about gender identity and transition. The blonde wig remained, but now represented something more profound than costume. It was becoming his authentic self.
I think I want to grow my own hair out,
he told Melanie one evening as she helped remove the wig. His natural hair had already grown longer than his typical shortcut.
I'd like to be blonde for real.
Melanie ran her fingers through his natural hair.
I think that would look beautiful.
Work presented the next challenge. Remote software engineering made the dual life manageable. Jason on video calls, Elise the moment the computer shut down, but compartmentalizing grew increasingly difficult. The blonde wig felt more like him than the short brown hair beneath it. March arrived with sprouting flowers and a decision. Jason scheduled a meeting with his company's HR department. Melanie drove him there, squeezing his hand before he entered the building.
Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together.
2 hours later, he emerged with tentative optimism. The company had diversity policies in place. There would be a transition plan, sensitivity training for the team, a timeline for when Jason would officially become Elise at work. Spring blossomed alongside his transformation. Hormone therapy began, subtle changes appearing week by week. His own hair grew past his ears, lightened gradually through careful treatments until it matched the blonde of the wig that was needed less frequently. The emerald dress from Halloween hung in their closet, a reminder of the beginning. Beside it, a wardrobe evolved, clothes chosen not for disguise, but for expressing the person emerging from within. Summer arrived. The blonde hair now brushed his shoulders naturally, no wig required. Subtle curves began reshaping his body. His voice found its authentic register through dedicated training. The person in the mirror aligned more closely with the self he'd discovered that fateful Halloween night.
Do you ever miss Jason?
Melanie asked one evening as they walked along the beach, the setting sun casting golden light across the blonde hair that danced in the ocean breeze. Elise considered the question, fingers intertwined with her wife's. I don't think Jason is gone. All the parts that mattered, the kindness, the humor, the love for you, they're still here. The packaging is just more honest now. Melanie nodded, understanding. The blonde suits you. Always has, from that first night. October returned, bringing with it the anniversary of transformation. The community Halloween party approached again, this time with no need for costume. "What should we wear this year?" Melanie asked, flipping through a costume catalog. Elise opened their closet, reaching past everyday clothes to where the emerald dress hung, preserved like a museum piece. Her fingers traced the silky fabric, memories flooding back. "I think I'd like to wear this again," she decided. Not as costume, as commemoration. The night of the party, Elise stood before the mirror, the emerald dress fitting differently over her changed body. Her own blonde hair, now past her shoulders, shimmered under the bedroom lights. The makeup skills perfected over months of practice, enhanced features softened by hormone therapy. Melanie appeared behind her, dressed as a classical goddess. "Full circle," she observed, wrapping her arms around Elise's waist. "You look beautiful." "I feel beautiful," Elise replied, turning to face her wife. "Thank you for seeing me before I could see myself." They arrived at the party, to welcoming embraces from friends who had supported the journey. The costume contest commenced. Categories announced one by one. When Best Transformation was called, the MC grinned directly at Elise. "This isn't about costumes," he announced. "This year, we created a special category to honor courage. The award goes to Elise Miller for showing us all what it means to become your authentic self." Applause filled the room as Elise approached the stage, emerald dress catching the light just as it had a year before. Tears threatened to spill and ruin her carefully applied makeup. "A year ago, I stood on this stage not knowing who I really was," she began, the blonde hair framing her face as she spoke. "I thought I was playing a part for one night. Instead, I discovered the role I was born to play." The trophy felt different in her hands this time, not a prize for pretending, but an acknowledgement of becoming. Later, as midnight approached, Elise and Melanie swayed together on the dance floor, the emerald dress flowing around them. "Happy anniversary," Melanie whispered. "To new beginnings," Elise replied, the blonde hair cascading over her shoulders as she leaned in to kiss her wife. Outside, autumn leaves danced in the October breeze, nature's reminder that transformation was the most natural process of all. Inside, Elise danced too, finally at home in her own skin, the emerald dress a touchstone between past and present. The party ended, but her journey continued. The blonde hair would grow longer. The hormones would continue their work. Her confidence would strengthen with each passing day. The emerald dress would return to its place in the closet, a cherished relic of the night Jason discovered Elise had been waiting patiently to emerge all along. In the car heading home, Melanie reached over to tuck a strand of blonde hair behind Elise's ear. "What are you thinking about?" Elise smiled, watching the world pass by through the window. "I'm thinking that sometimes the best costumes aren't disguises at all. They're revelations." The emerald dress rustled as she turned to her wife. "And I'm thinking that next Halloween, we should try something completely different. I've already had my life-changing costume moment." "What did you have in mind?" Melanie asked, turning onto their street. "Maybe matching outfits? I was thinking about those constellation costumes. You as the moon, me as the stars." "Perfect," Melanie agreed, pulling into their driveway. "Although nothing will top this year's Emerald Queen." Later that night, Elise carefully hung the emerald dress back in its place of honor. Her fingers lingered on the fabric, remembering the uncertainty of that first Halloween, the man who had stood trembling before the bathroom mirror, razor in hand. She caught her reflection now, blonde hair loose around her shoulders, face bare of makeup, but still undeniably feminine. The journey wasn't over. Transition was a marathon, not a sprint. But standing there in their bedroom, Elise felt a completeness that had always eluded Jason. The seasons would continue their cycle. Her blonde hair would catch summer sunshine and winter snowflakes. The emerald dress might emerge for anniversaries or remain a keepsake of beginnings. Challenges would come. They always did with profound life changes. But as Elise slipped beneath the covers beside her sleeping wife, she knew with absolute certainty that she would never again hide behind masks or costumes. Halloween had given her the permission to discover herself, but courage had allowed her to remain authentic every day after. The blonde hair spread across her pillow as she closed her eyes, grateful for emerald dresses and Halloween parties and wives who saw the truth behind disguises. Most of all, grateful for the revelation that sometimes becoming yourself is the greatest transformation of all.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!